This week in comic books, the Joker comes out with his solo series for the second time ever in DC history. And what was it about? Let's talk about it. Also, in the land of Marvel, we had this Children of Adam thing, and it's weird. Very weird. All that and tons of other comic books right after that intro. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos? I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. If you're the first time here, basically what I do is I read a bunch of comic books in a very short amount of time. I take a bunch of notes on them, do a quick review, let you know what's out there, and my thoughts on them. Overall, always welcome a nice comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're here. So without further ado, let's jump right into it, and let's get to Joker, issue number 1. So, I thought we would get a lot more Joker action in this. If you haven't read this yet, this is weird. First off, the cover, that looks more like the Croc, right? And then when I actually read this and I found out it was more about Jim Gordon becoming an assassin to go after the Joker. Yeah, that happened. And then this whole mess with Punchline's court case. I'll be honest with you, I don't see court right, being something that a comic book reader would really be interested in. But don't worry, Bluebird's there. If you don't know who Bluebird is, it makes a better ice cream than it does a superhero. So once I found out that this is very little to do with the actual Joker, I went ahead and I picked up, oh yeah, that cover right there. That's a beautiful cover right there. Of course, Punchline with their knives. It's horrible lighting in here today, but the sun's out. So that was really cool. But all in all, I don't really care for the story. And it's not that it's a bad story. It's just very misleading to get a story about the Joker. And then it's about Jim Gordon and everything he's been through. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this old retired police commissioner and we're going to give him lots of money to go kill the Joker. Like, if he could have done that before, he probably should have. And then again, this whole Bluebird character and her brother and their interminglings with trying to get some dirt on Punchline. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like we're just taking Punchline, just kind of shoving her into a boring story to attract people to it. Yeah. Okay. Batman, Urban Legends. This was pretty cool. So this is various writers are on this one. Some I've heard of, some I have, but the main story in here that I found to be the most interesting was the Red Hood one. And like that one really kind of tore to your heart because you had a kid, mom's in a coma because of some new drug out on the street, and this kind of tugs at, Red Hood, right? Because, he had parent issues and Batman parent daddy issues as well. And then like dad's like super jerk and like doesn't care about anybody, and Red Hood like shoots the guy. So now the kid's an orphan. Will he take on the kid as a sidekick though? Oh, you think Batman's a bad parent? Can you imagine Red Hood? Like, he's okay with killing people. Like, that's crazy, right? So, but still, good story. A lot of good stories in here. This was good. I enjoyed this. I definitely would pick that up if you haven't already, especially if you're a Red Hood fan. Like, that's all right. Superman. I like this kind of take that we're getting on Superman. This is a really cool story in here. This deals with something that I think most young people out there, especially if you're in your 20s and you're about to get to your 30s, you start kind of realizing that your parents aren't invincible, right? Like they're getting older at that point. And this is what we're kind of getting in here when we see Jonathan Kent kind of relate to his dad being Superman and how he still wants to be his own man, and he doesn't want to be Superman, and then they're fighting this battle where he knows when his dad's going to die because he went to the future, right? So that's a lot. That's a lot for a young person. I don't care if you're 12 to 20, right? That's rough. And to see that happen in here with comic book heroes, it definitely shows involvement of the characters as we're going forward. DC's taking, they turned on their heels a little bit and started telling very, really hard stories, right? And this is definitely one of them, and it's good. I liked this. Vampire, 1976. I've been reading this entire series. If you've viewed the show, you've seen my reviews on it. But in this issue, this was the surprise issue. Normally, I don't talk very long on this Vampire because I know it's not a huge favorite out there. But this seriously takes a really cool twist in here where the guy that was supposed to be the hero, come to find out he's the bad guy, right? but you'll never guess it. Like, you would have never have figured it out. You thought they were going to go with the campy, we're going to make him omniscient superhero guy, and then come find out he's like, nah, I don't want the power, I just want to blow everything up because I'm actually, a henchman for the Beast. Even kills his own, or tries to kill his own brother in here. What happens next? This is a very, if you can get this in trade bag cheap at like Ollie's or whatever, definitely check that out. Rory Shack. So this book, it's Tom King, right? Like, that should be used as a verb. Somebody Tom King'd it, right? It's depressing. This whole entire book, well, 90% of it, is nothing more than letters of Laura writing to the Will, and Will writing to Laura, back and forth. If you haven't followed on this book, I'm not going to completely review this whole story because it could be summed up in 3 sentences. Like, it's just not, right? But at the end, we get a character who looks like Rorschach sitting there, but we've been fooled several times throughout this book about Rorschach, so I don't really know what's going on. And this whole guise of having an election in the background and all this other stuff in the background constantly eating up, panel space in it. It's just, it's a hard get through. It's hard. And I'm still debating if it's going to be my last one or not. Because, like I said, I don't mind reading a bad comic book. Like, it's 10 minutes worth of reading, right? But there's just no real substance to this. It's just melancholy and sad. It's just sad old people. Sad. All right, so moving on to Marvel. Children of Adam. I'm familiar with the writer. This is from Vieta Ayala, I think is how you say her name. I'm probably mispronouncing her name. But I've read stuff from her before, and it's exactly the same thing as everything else she has written, to the point where even the storyline of kind of like this unspoken homosexuality between 2 characters, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Love who you love. God bless you for finding somebody to love. But I think we're supposed to like snark at it or realize it. Like, it's supposed to mean something because it kept reoccurring in here. If you don't know who the Children of Adam are, they're basically knockoff characters. Like, not even good knockoff characters. You have Cyclops Lass. Yeah, that's a female Cyclops. Good. You were on it. And then they got Daycrawler. That's right, Nightcrawler. The one that may confuse you is Cherub. Cherub's an angel, so he's an angel, right? And then the Jean Grey type character in here. The dialogue in here is something. This should have been a children's book, I think is the best way to put it, right? Because like insults like jerk face, hey old boomer, to somebody in their, who I can guess is in their 20s, because they dang sure weren't calling the X-Men boomers that were older than the criminals in it, right? Like, that was a weird thing in here. If you read this, you know what I'm talking about. You should have been like, hey, wait a second, it doesn't. Whatever. Well, anyway, the big hang-up in this is that they can't go to the island of Krakoa, and the X-Men don't know that, but they want them to come there because they can't go through the portal, right? Because it's a walled-off country of segregation. I'm going to let that one sit because the writer should just be stewing over that right now. Anyway, so they can't go there. But we've seen this before, right? Because Katie Pryde, she had trouble going to Krakoa at first as well. So we're not really sure why they can't go, and be quite honest, I'm never going to find out unless I watch somebody else's review of it, because it's not interesting. It's so gimmicky and such an outright ripoff that it's just, and in your face too. Like, I'm going to do this, and you're going to like it, comic book fan. I just don't much care for it. Something good this week. So, Non-Stop Spiderman. So his new suit, right? It's not that huge of a deal. By the way, this is a 2 per store variant right here. There was a 1 per 1, but I didn't like all the writing in the background. I like 1 per store variants. I don't see the big, like, it's a Spider-Man outfit. It's not that huge of a deal. And we've seen him change his outfit before. It's not why I got it. I actually got it because I heard a rumor through the grapevine that Baron Zemo is coming back. And sure enough, in the back, he is. And one of my favorite lines while he's talking to Underground Hydra people was, "Nazi, please." I was like, that's so on the nose. It's funny. I like that. A lot of other good stuff in here. A lot of good action. Super genius gang, right? It's good to see a group of henchmen that are super smart That happened in here as well. And we even get real world problems like a college kid ODing on drugs and possibly another kid ODing on drugs. That's the Scooby Doo mystery in it. So, yeah, I'm going to be picking up some more. Right now, this was better than the last 5 issues of Amazing Spider Man. This one right here. I'm not even, or at least in my opinion. Definitely, if you disagree, let me know in the comments below. But, yeah, I just loved it. Action, artwork, everything was just brilliant. And of course, my wife collects Scotty Young covers, so I had to get her that Scotty Young cover. All right, Deadpool. So I read the whole Deadpool Monster Island thing. I think I was into it for about 4 issues before I was like, okay, this is bleh. And I was actually kind of dreading getting this. Now, this is another collection of stories, right? It's about that time of year where we're going to start seeing a bunch of these in both DC and Marvel. The best stories in here, this Joe Kelly guy. And Joe Kelly also wrote the Nonstop Spider-Man too. I don't know much about this Joe Kelly guy, but he can write a story, and he can write a good story, a good, interesting story, and put really good things in it. And he did a great job. Really loved that one. Scotty Young, of course, did a little campy one in here that was kind of funny and whimsical, and it was fun. Even Kelly Thompson, Fabian, I want to say it's Vigoriza? That's probably not right, but his first name is Fabian. He did an okay job. That was good. And then from there down was just like, oh, why is this a story? Like, there's one illustration in here. I know it's not story or written, but one of the stories, I think it's Gail Simone's story, where they drew Deadpool, and it looks like he's just got worms crossing back and forth on his face. They're supposed to be cancer. I don't know. It's so bad. And then, of course, our boy, Rob Liefeld, goes in here and he writes a story and does the artwork. And he still can't do feet. Like, I know that's like the running joke in the comic book community. Honestly, at this point, I think he's just trolling us. Because even the feet in this was ridiculous. Like, is he wearing bell bottoms with boots? Like, that's what it looked like. It was ridiculous. I put a picture of it on my Instagram. But definitely when you see it, like, oh, okay, he's just trolling us at this point. And, of course, he put himself in the comic book. At this point, I think he's just screwing with us, comic book readers at this point. But, yeah, it was funny. Also, he made fun of all the pouches, and he's sewing up pouches in there, right? I wonder what he keeps in his pouches. Anyway, going on to Strange Academy. Still whimsical, still good. In this one, we get Calvin and Doyle. They, buddy up on a Scooby-Doo mystery to go check out some stuff in the school because it's Parents' Day, and all the kids are, hanging out with their parents. It's really cool seeing normal parents hang out with people like Loki, who's always trying to find a way around the rules. That's the games that they play and stuff with the kids. That was fun. It was campy. It's kind of silly. But the cool part in here is we get a little story on the fat kid that we generally overlook, and we found out that this kid is kind of dark. Sadistic dark. He could be a bad guy, right? When you picture him a bad guy and he did art, he may have killed his foster parents. That may have happened in here. We don't know if it was a dream or not. But even Doyle learns that he's kind of got this dark magic thing going on, and it's creepy as all get out. So that was good. Good job with Scotty Young and that team there. Another book I'm just not caring about. I think 3 issues is a fair shot. One is this picture right here of this kid making this face. That's every panel he's in. Well, I take that back. 99% of the panels he's in, he's got that face on, right? And if it's not that, then it's weird. It's off-putting. And for some reason, Icarus is just watching a kid. And the parents are like, well, you want to come in and have coffee? And then this whole narration from the machine. How much he likes coffee, and he's the arrow. And it's like, oh my God, it's so bad. And then there's a whole thing in here about gender and what sex is, and how primitive people have blah, blah, blah. Gender and sex has been around a lot longer than it not being around. That's historically fact. Now, if you want to believe that is a thing or not a thing, that's a totally separate issue. But don't try to force feed me to believe that it's part of history. That's just not the case. And honestly, I just don't like that kind of politics in here. If a character's gay, homosexual, or doesn't know, or wants to be one of these other words that nobody can keep track of these days, that's fine. That's totally on you, by all means. But what is the relevance of that character's sexuality identity in the book? Exactly. It's not. It's not part of the story, unless you're telling a very different story. But yet, it's going to get forced on you in here, and that's not even why I'm getting turned off by this book. I'm getting turned off because the art's bad and the story's like Thanos is alive someplace. We didn't even touch that in here. Like that wasn't even mentioned. Like oh yeah, he told us Thanos. Oh okay, great. Let's go see our old friend Athena because she's banging some divergence. Because sexuality. Get out of here. It's stupid. Alright, next, Immortal Hulk. I'm really kind of digging these kind of simplistic covers. I know they're not hot collector items or anything, but I just like the simplicity of them. Immortal Hulk's been a little bit of a... This storyline with the leader's been a little dry as well. Although this wasn't as bad as most of them. In this one, we see Hulk get it handed to him by the UFOs. Straight up. Like, they sent him to the below, right? And there he is with Joe Fix-It, and they realize they're in hell. The below's hell. Also, we keep trying to force feed this other story to us with Rick Jones, and he's on like half leader and half Rick Jones, and it's all morphed out and weird looking. And we got a new character that can see a different spectrum with beings, you know, like the whole Lovecraftian type demons walking around. I don't care about that one. I guess I shouldn't say that. But it's just, you know, Samson as a character never interests me. And that storyline doesn't interest me. And honestly, Immortal Hulk's been kind of dragging off here lately. Like, we need this to end and that next storyline to get started or something. I don't know. You need to kind of revamp this a little bit. So, that's it. No indies this week. Or no indies that my shop had indies, but it was like Deja Thor's number or whatever they're on that. I never picked that up, so there's no sense in it. It was all like middle issues. So, yeah, that's my haul this week. Don't forget, Blaster or Stash It this Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on the YouTubes here. Myself, Huey, Spectacular Spider Grandpa, we're going to bring these books there, and we're going to blast or stash them, right? Were they good? Were they bad? And I want to extend to you an invitation to come and visit us. We have a live chat going on. If you read any of these books, let us know. If we're missing something in them, you know, sometimes things just don't click. Definitely come in and let us know. We want to talk to you about it and join in the fun. That would be super awesome. This 30-day challenge is Wolverine claws that we're making in the old evil lair. And I completely botched up some measurements, so I have to start from ground zero. Hopefully this weekend. This may be the first one I don't get done in time. I don't know. We'll see. So be on the lookout for that. And also the new thumbnails. What do you think of them? Let me know down below. Is it too much, too little? Like somebody was like, do you need some work on your thumbnails? And then I had to look up the word thumbnail in a slang dictionary because I'm not that technically savvy. So let me know. They're all different suggestions from different people. Let me know what you think about them. They're garbage. Don't be scared to say it. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Bye.